Hi. So, few people have been asking us after our sort of first impressions of the Ensis Jive how it was and why we've chosen it as a test board. We've got a few behind us now. We just got a delivery the other day, and I'll just talk you through them, see how we go. I've been using the 72 myself, which was the one that I unboxed. For me, it's a really good size. I typically have been using a 57, but more of a traditional shape. So the 72 was a step up, and I was after something for more of a light wind board. I weigh about 78 to 80 kilos. And for me, the 72 is a really good size. I'm buoyant on it. I can get up on it in light winds. It's about 12 knots, but that's with a small foil. And I'm sure if you put a bigger foil on, you could probably get going in lighter winds. I find the width of this board is a bit wider than some of the others. Some of them are more like 19 inches, 20 inches. This Jive with 72 litres is coming in at 21 inches wide. So it's a little bit wider. That gives me a nice stable platform. And I find once you're on it, it's easy. You can kind of wobble around. It doesn't, you don't need to be on the foil to be stable. So if you're in conditions that are gusty or tricky, then this works really well. What I find the main difference between the more traditional shorter lengths, shorter and wider lengths, with this Jive, it kind of brings me back to my windsurfing times a little bit, in the sense that the length gives you that ability to pump a bit easier. It gets it going through the water quicker. And that then allows you to pop up onto the foil quicker. So with the extra length, although it might feel or seem a bit clumsy by being longer, because we all like that sort of condensed wing foiling, short board style, this works really well. I think the reason it doesn't feel too long whilst you're going is because the foot straps are a lot further forward than they would be in windsurfing. So if this was a windsurfing board, for example, your feet would be back here. But because we're on a foil board, your feet are a lot further forward. So you're not really aware whilst you're foiling that you've got this sort of like, what is it, like a foot of board almost hanging out the back. You're just aware of this front section. Maneuverability, it's good. Like, I haven't really had it out in a proper cranking wave yet, because we had summer here in England and we haven't had it. But in sort of like shoulder high waves, it turns well. It releases quite well. You kind of feel like you can bank it into the turn and the rail doesn't catch at all. And if the rail does catch, they're not so sharp that they pull the board straight and it really messes you up. It kind of touches down, but doesn't throw you off too much. I find, as a if I was going on one board to one place on holiday, then this would be perfect for me, because I know I can do anything from small waves to maybe overhead waves, that sort of thing. I think if it was bigger, I'd want a smaller board, but I could take it anyway. Go to the Canary Islands, perfect board for that. When it's windy, it'll work. When it's not so windy, it's also going to work. It's light. You can travel with it. The length is still not too much of an issue for that, especially in our FBC mid-length travel bag. It works well. Foil position, I've been riding it with it in the middle. That seems to work quite well for me. Kind of look always at the back foot strap and where that is. And my back foot is slightly behind the middle of the box. I think that's how I like it. Not sure. Maybe I should experiment a little bit with that. But as a one board does it all, I'm pretty happy with this board. One of the real things I find is it gets up onto the plane quite nicely, which then obviously, like I was saying earlier, gets onto the foil. But with this flat area here on the front, if you're struggling and you're on that sort of like almost planing, almost not, you can really pump it and slap this, aim to really hit the water hard with this area of the board here. And as you get it to go up and then down, that sort of slap in the water effect releases the board and then releases the foil, and then you're away. So it's a good board. I like the mid-length thing. There's definitely a place. Are we saying that the more traditional sort of stubbier boards are now obsolete? I don't think so. I think if it's a good day, I would still quite happily get on my really small board. But as a board that offers a utility to go into a variety of conditions and do a whole heap of things, I think this one's good. Also, I can see in the bigger sizes, so we've got the 86 and the 100. For me, the 100 would be a great power winging board, to certainly to learn on. It's got loads of volume. It would be a big stable platform. but it's not too dissimilar to this board. So I would be aware of its characteristics. I'm not getting on like a big downwind board that I haven't used before. The 86, I think, is going to be a really popular size for a lot of people. If you're in that intermediate stage and you want something that's going to allow you to maneuver the board around your jibes, maybe, and well, of course, you can enter tacks with it. It'll do it all. It's just how does it work for you and how easy does it make it? I think these boards will make it easy for you. So certainly, I think a beginner, the more traditional shape where you've got a short wide board is great. I think if you're more intermediate and looking to advance going through your tacks and jibes, then something like the 86, or if you're a bigger rider, the 100 is absolutely spot on. As you get a bit more advanced and you're asking a little bit more for your gear, the 72 is great. And they're also making a 62, I think. And the 62 for me would be, that would be a really interesting board to try. So hopefully we'll get one of those and give it a spin. So in summary, the Ensis Jive, pretty big fan of it. At the moment, there's nothing that I can pick major fault with. I like how the deck is. And yeah, it works and it looks great. It's nice and light and performs really well. I like the tail as well. I don't know whether that's just an aesthetic thing in my mind. You know, if it looks quick, it feels quick, but you do sort of feel that the tail releases well whilst you're trying to get up onto the foil. But these sort of scalloped edges here also offer quite a bit of stability when you're not foiling, when you're not up and going. Might be a myth, might not. But like I said, if it looks good, it feels good. So it looks good to me. So that feels good. Any questions you've got to ask me, hit them in the comments, do the like and subscribe thing, and check out our other videos. Cheers.